I think that Che, uh, brilliant work. Did
Hmm.
brilliant. I think he's probably the best feature on the project. Yeah, I said it out loud in front of everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he might be the best feature. I think he's just like doing it was brilliant work. I think that kind of low key carrying the song.
High key carrying the song. Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, and how that album fits into the context of that artist's career. Everyone watching on YouTube, we thank you. We appreciate you. Make sure you leave us a comment, hit that like button, subscribe to us. Let us know how wrong we always are. My name is Adriel Smiley, aka Champion Scribe, and we are here with His Royal Highness, aka the Bunny, aka No Longer a Munch, aka Green Goblin King Grant.
Welcome back, everybody. Album mode, and this time we're reviewing Baby Keem and Casino, his latest album. Baby Keem, one of these artists that I'm gonna be honest with you, dubious, quite dubious of him. I know that some people love Baby Keem. They love a Baby Keem tune at a party, as do I. Do I love sitting down listening to a Baby Keem project? That is another question. So that's why I've been very interested in this album, to be honest, because when we did the review last time, I was again dubious. So I'm like, okay, he's been gone for 5 years. What is happening in those 5 years? What does he learn? What does he change? What does he want to do? I've been curious of that. So we're here, Casino, Baby Keem. Tell me what you were thinking coming into this thing.
I knew the anticipation would be high. But I actually am kind of lower on Baby Keem in the present because I'm one of those people who's like, I like the old Baby Keem. Even though I'm not a big Baby Keem fan, I am that fan who's like, listen, Die for My Bitch, that was my favorite era of
Hmm.
Baby Keem. So the melodic blue, I know for a lot of people that was like their first real entry into Baby Keem on a large scale. I was disappointed in that project. We're gonna get to what our scores were a little bit later on that past project, but I was disappointed in that, so I wasn't as excited for this in particular. But I knew that everyone else was, so I knew this was something that we'd had to kind of tap into, listen to. Excuse me. I think two things we got to mention off the top before we go back into his career and kind of his story. One, young, 25 years old, born in 2000. Okay. Very young as an artist. He is signed to PG Lang, which is Kendrick and Dave Freeze, new venture, new label. And as well, he's Kendrick Lamar's little cousin. Okay. So all that proximity is a part of the hype. Now, this album is his highest selling album in the first week. Okay. 71,000 in total sales. It would place him at number 4 on the Billboard 200 chart. So, most successful album to date. And if you guys haven't heard this album, people online are loving it. There are some people online. I've seen this numerous times on numerous platforms saying this is their favorite album of the year. Now,
You're just
we're
starting.
gonna see how me and Demar feel about this album.
Hmm.
We're not gonna give that away of what our thoughts are, but that is the kind of hype that was around before this album. Now that the album is out, the hype has continued. Um, at one point, the album was called Child with Wolves. This was a previous title. He tweeted this in January of 2024. The album will be called Casino. It is a nod to where he grew up in Las Vegas. He said that was a big part of his growing up, his lifestyle, his youth. And then I mentioned Die for My Bitch, 2019 mixtape. His breakout single, Orange Soda, went platinum. He had all these before Melodic Blue, so already pretty established. I mentioned it on a past podcast of when he came to Toronto. Drake was shouting him out at his show, and they talked about collabing together. Now, of course, that's basically done and dead. But Baby Keem had a little bit of buzz before he, did all those songs with Kendrick. Um, he's a producer as well. I don't think he's known as a producer. That's not something I think people don't kind of think of him about. But Schoolboy Q, J Rock, Beyonce, N95 is his, Die Hard. Praise God by Kanye West, Num Num
Hmm.
Juice by Schoolboy Q. So he's one of those producer rappers. We don't really put him in that group, but he does belong in the group as a producer rapper. 2021 in September, we reviewed his latest project, Melodic Blue. Do you remember the score that you gave it?
I'm gonna say 5.5. 5.5.
So absolutely correct. You gave it a 5.5, higher than me. I gave it a 5. That project was really his coming out party. He had features from Kendrick Lamar, Travis Scott, Don Tolliver. So that was him really coming into the mainstream of, okay, it's Baby Keem time. And you're right, a lot of people are thinking he's the next one. He's headed to the top. I do think it's more the proximity to greatness than actually him himself. Even though I do like his music, I think the buzz that comes around, he's standing beside the right guys, working with the right people. So he has to be the next one. What it
Born to
really
the next
reminds
to the next, born next to the good right person, basically.
Yeah, yeah, born next to the greats. One thing it reminds me of, and this is another basketball reference because we have a bunch of those on album mode,
Hmm.
it's kind of like early career Jason Tatum. There was a
Mm.
time when Jason Tatum was averaging 13 points a game, but if you heard them talk about him online, you would swear he's already an all-star. This is kind of how Baby Keem is being talked about. He's his highest kind of streaming album is this one. He's still kind of getting to his peak, but the way he's talked about is like he's already there. And this was my big question to you because I had to talk with someone during the week about who are the kind of the new guys of this generation. I sent you that billboard, mentioned a
Hmm.
bunch of them of like the new era of hip hop. Very very blurry.
Yeah, that first of all, that billboard, that's in a shambles, bro. I don't know who came up with that. There's no way somebody that is tapped in genuinely was thinking that billboard was actually legitimate because it was like Baby Keem, I think it was like Doechii. I'm trying to think who else. And I love Doechii. Let's not get it twisted. We
Mhm.
love Doechii. But it was like people who are already established. Like Baby Keem has been on, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not like that they were really pointing towards somebody else. I think when it comes to new school artists, I mean, I've been talking about Yeet forever. I am a large SD Kid fan, massive. And I think that those two guys are part of the new wave. Also, I'm just like this like the Detroit rap scene is definitely I feel like I don't know why I've been just watching it from a distance, this Detroit rap scene stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is something very delectable that is happening over there. And I'm now in a sequence where I'm like, this is getting to a very weird situation in hip hop where our people like Drake, Kendrick, and J. Cole are in the J. Cole stage, or not in the J. Cole, the Jay-Z stage when it was like 2011 or something like that, where
Hmm.
they're looking for the next guy. We're looking for the next guy. Where's the next person? And Baby Keem, I guess he's one of them. I'm gonna be honest with you because of the fanfare, his youth. Um, this is his third project, like his third official project. So
Hmm.
I guess he's technically one of them. But I don't really consider him new because he's been around since 2019, before the turn of the decade. So it's a little bit dubious. This is like when Sabrina Carpenter won Best New Artist or something like that. She's been around for like 10 years.
Well, here's what I was gonna say. I think I love that you're the person saying that you don't consider these artists new, because you're the person I think of when I think of a new artist. It was only a couple episodes ago where we talked about how often is the artist the first time they come out, the first music you hear from them pops, and you mentioned 50 Cent in the club, which is well after he had kind of bubbled in the street. So
Mm.
I think to a lot of people, melodic blues is the first time they heard of Baby Keem.
Yeah,
Orange
but that was
Soda
still
was
5 years
already
ago.
platinum, no, for sure. But I think like in this new internet era, you may be aware of someone earlier, but they don't really pop to the masses for a while. Like Glorilla F is a while ago. Her last album was really her big album.
Hmm.
Central C, his debut out Can't Rush Greatness, he popped at 2020, and the
Right.
debut album just came out last year. So I think what you're saying is like actually just how we define the new era of, who is popping right now. Well, the reason I brought this up is because, if I'm talking about NBA YoungBoy
Okay.
and how he's on his tour and how that's going. And my question was, how is NBA YoungBoy doing compared to his peers? My friend asked me, who do you consider his peers? And Baby Keem is someone I mentioned. I said Baby Keem, Don Tolliver, and I said, at this point, I can't go by age. I can only go by who's at the point in their career that it's kind of at equal footing. I
Yeah.
think Don Tolliver with this last album probably took himself into a different stratosphere. And NBA Boy has always been there, but
Yeah.
where do you think Baby Keem ranks among his peers? You can include the Spotify rap star. You can include the guys that I just mentioned who are not on that list. Of this kind of newer era, the guys who are really getting it poppin' 2020 and post. Where do you think he ranks among those guys? You don't have to give me a number, but where do you think he stands among those guys?
Well, again, it's been 5 years. 2021 was the last time he released music, so I'm like behind Dochi, Central C we'd even mention. Central C, uh, over Lil Tecca, over Lil Tecca, over Sexy Red, but like I don't know. He's like he kind of feels like a very mid, not mid like attribute, but like mid to the. He's like a B tier hip hop artist, feels like to me. He doesn't feel A-list to me, despite the fact that he is A-list related. But I don't know. He just feels, I don't know, very middle of the pack to me. Like not in the way Don Toliver has just jumped out into the stratosphere. He has not done that for me.
Hmm.
When it comes to his like the music that he actually creates. His popularity is indicating that though. It is indicating that he is jumping away in a way that I am not fully grasping, to be quite honest with you.
Here's the thing. I don't know if his popularity is actually on that level. I do think it's one of those where you follow certain sites, like if you follow Complex, Pigeons and Planes, they're gonna post a Baby Keem often.
Yes.
But the numbers don't actually say that he's that popular in that way. So I think he's just one of those artists who he's part of the club. I think being a part of the club is important where these blogs, these sites will post you because
Hmm.
you're part of the club. The online community kind of is attached to you. But I would say he's still kind of in popularity, behind a lot of these guys. Like as a solo artist, like, his songs with Kendrick have done very well.
Oh, you know
But I
who?
think go
Sorry.
ahead.
One artist that I do want to shout out who I definitely think is like a new school leader, Jim Legacy. Jim Legacy is definitely somebody I see as like this is about to be he's a UK artist for people who don't know. I feel like that guy is special. Like special in a way where we were talking about maybe not like obviously Drake or Kendrick level, but I'm like this guy can just like literally do anything. And I wouldn't be surprised by it. So Jim Legacy, I think the UK, I'm pro UK. Okay, I'm pro UK in hip hop, but Jim Legacy is definitely one of those artists.
Yeah, I think the talent is there. Again, it depends on how big they're gonna get, and this is what we're seeing with Don Toliver. Like Don Toliver had this kind of talent the whole time. This album, he puts it together and creates this body of work that kind of the masses love even more. But that's really what it is for these artists, and I think Baby Keem made his attempt at that. Now, before we go any further and talk about the production, this album, 11 songs, 37 minutes. Okay. I think the shorter album, we've been begging for an album mode since the beginning of this podcast.
What a dream.
Okay. Yeah. So 11 songs. Oh my gosh. Buy me dinner first. Like, this is what we've been waiting for to happen. I think a part of the buzz that he's been getting in terms of the positive reaction to this album is because it's so short. And I do
Mm,
want to make sure we highlight that going forward for the rest of this year because, the album length fatigue is very real. I
mhm.
think like this is a normal album in a different time, even shorter because of the length. I think back in our day, 11 songs still might be 45 minutes.
Right.
I think this is now that the album fatigue of the length of it has gotten so crazy that we're like, please just make it short. Like whatever you can do to shorten the album. And we see in different ways where compared to Don Toliver, 17, 18 songs, still close to 40 minutes. 11 songs, close to 40 minutes. So I think we're in a place now where you either choose a song length or the album length,
Hmm.
but you want to keep it as short. as possible. When it comes to production, to me that's the star of this project, and Baby Keem is a producer himself, so to me that there's really no question there that it should be the star of this project.
Hmm.
One of my favorites on here is Birds and the Bees. That's been a fan favorite, of course, like, one of the most streamed songs on this project. This beat reminds me of something I would have freestyled over when I was freestyling. Back in
Okay.
my day when I used to freestyle, this would have been a beat I would have asked someone to put on. Say, put on Birds and the Bees. Let me get something.
Hmm. Yeah, Birds and the Bees, I mean, to me, it's okay. Like, I think that the production is definitely the star of this album. It kind of the production style, like, or this song in particular, definitely is like a 2010s I'm trying to think of like maybe like jerk type of music. I don't know.
Ooh,
It feels like that. I don't know. But yeah, I think that this song is okay. I don't necessarily love it production wise. I'm trying to think of the songs that I do like production wise on this project. And I'm thinking of I don't know, Circus Freestyle maybe? Circus Freestyle. I think that
okay.
his ability to make these because I think he also produced that as well. Yeah, he produced that as well. A lot with Bridgeway and Hom. I think that his ability to make these like triumphant beats, we've seen this in pretty much every project that he's done. It's like these triumphant songs with these big ass horns, people chanting in the background. That's his juice, and I think I like that song a lot. Because you're getting his elevated vocals, the horns, slow pace, but it's just very, very aggressive. So that's where I am with that song. I don't know, but the song that you mentioned, Birds and the Bees, I don't know. I don't know. I think the people who love this album, because there are people definitely who love this album, are on a different frequency than me.
That is one way to put it. That is one way to put it. We got to talk about Good Flirts, of course. This is the standout track from this project. It's the Kendrick Lamar verse that's actually in the credits. It features Momo Boyd as well. Were you aware of Momo Boyd before this? Because I was, but I'm now understanding a lot of people were not. They were hearing about her for the first time.
No, I wasn't. And you know what? We've talked about this in private multiple times. R&B, current R&B, um, not really working for me right now. To put it
That's
nicely.
interesting.
To put it
I I
nicely.
I wouldn't consider her and her band R&B. I
I know,
actually
but
don't
that
know what
song
I
is
would
like an R&B
consider.
track.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good, the actual song "Good Flirts." Even though I do like it, why I want to mention it, it's such an interesting song to be a standout on a project.
Hmm.
It's similar to when people were saying Luther was a standout on GNX. I said I don't think it is a standout, but if Luther is a standout, what does that say about the album? And I think I feel that way here, where I like Good Flirts. Of course, that Kendrick Lamar verse is very sticky.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of, excuse me, his verse on Goosebumps, and just kind of the way he comes in and like doesn't come in too fast, takes his time, kind of gets in the groove, then picks up his flow a little bit more. But Good First, I think, is a very interesting song when you think about this album as a whole, because again, good record. I think you talked about Birds and the Bees something like 2010s-ish. Birds and the Bees could be like a 2006, 2007 ringtone type of beat. Like, it gives that energy. Good Flirts feels like a hit from that era. Like,
Hmm.
Good Flirts would have got some decent radio plays, some decent BET Now video plays
Yeah,
in
I
like
totally see what
2004. You know what I mean? So again, interesting because he has those more like, again, hyper songs, or more like upbeat songs like Circus Freestyle, I'm Not a Lyricist, Even House Money. But the standout being a song of this pace, very, very interesting. But I like Good Flirts. I do like the song,
Yeah.
but again, I think I like it from the standpoint of it shows where hip hop is kind of moving to, that
Ooh.
hip hop can gravitate to a song like this. Like, this is not usually a song like that on a Baby Keem album. If you think about the hit from the last two projects, you know, Orange Soda, Family Ties,
Hmm.
Good Flirts is like a whole different artist. And I
Right.
think this is better for his career in terms of showing his versatility of, this song could be sticky, y'all like it, but it's not what y'all know me for. And I
Yeah.
think that is a plus for me.
Yeah, I think so. I think on this album, and this is on the previous project as well, he is testing out a lot of different sounds. And sometimes it's cool. Like I like that song, Good Flirts. But there are times where I'm like, this guy's flying a little bit too close to the sun, right? So one of the issues that I had with the previous album, and you'll see why I keep bringing it up, is that I could tell where he is cribbing the idea from very easily. And I Am Not a Lyricist is one of those songs as well, where I'm like, he is trying to be like Andre 3000 on Aquemini. Okay? Like, very obviously to the point that he even changes the way that he raps. Like, the voice sounds like Andre 3000, right? And I literally thought, I'm like, wait, hold on a second, this guy's it's the Andre 3000 feature. And then I found out, I'm like, hold on a second, let me listen in a little bit more. And then I realized, no, it's just him putting on a voice. So I think that, the production of that song is cool. I like the keys. I like the very low-key drums. I like this kind of like a loungy vibe to it, but reminiscent. So I think it sounds cool, but I'm just like, hmm. One of the greats we're imitating again. Last time it was Kanye. This time we're doing Andre 3000.
Listen, 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 listen. If you're gonna bite from anybody, great guys to bite from. Okay, from
Right.
Artunes and Dale, like it's not like he's trying to imitate Soldier Boy here.
Right.
Like at least he's going for the greats. But you're right. There's a few times on this project where I'm like, is this a feature? Is it him? Like this happens more than once on this project,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of gonna give my score away a little bit here. The thing that I realized from this album is like I just don't enjoy his voice the way other people do. I think
Okay.
some of these songs as a single voice, just like rapping, I like the attempt of what he's doing trying to carry these songs on his own.
Hmm.
Like it kind of reminds me of J. Cole last week, where some of these J. Cole songs, it's like I don't know if you saw that stat going around of like of all the double albums of the past 30 years, his voice is the most percentage on his album at
Oh, okay.
91%. Um, and that's such a bold move to have your voice carry like an entire album like that. Keem does a bit of that here, and so I want to give him credit for making that attempt. But I don't really love his voice in the same way. Now, I want to give two examples. Okay, one where I think it works, and then one where I think doesn't work as well. No security. It's just the keys and the vocal sample. I like that as an intro. Like, I don't know that Keem is old enough to remember this, but this gives like blog era intro vibes. Like, this is like
Hmm.
his Tuscan leather. You know what I mean? Like, not the same, but like this is like Baby Keem's version of it, which I like. Um, and then dramatic. Like that is one where I'm like, I like where you're kind of going with this in terms of the attempt. Like it's not a regular rap song. It is more kind of like an alternative, like indie popish song.
Right.
But I don't think his voice works on it. I don't think Keem's voice fits on this. I had two people who I mentioned as I want to hear them instead because I like how light this song feels.
Okay.
It's kind of like a happier record. Is one Rory.
Hmm.
Raury. If you remember him, I haven't heard a new song from him in a long time, but this
Hmm.
was like a song that he could have done. He had a song called Crystal Express from back in the day,
Hmm.
better version of this song. And then a UK artist, Bakar. I think
Oh,
Bakar
yeah, I know
could
who you know.
do
Yeah.
could do could do great on this as well. Now, yeah, we're in the weeds. Okay, if you don't know Baby Keem, you probably don't know Rory and Bakar as well. So,
Well,
go do the knowledge and look those guys up.
do the
But I think
knowledge.
those guys fit more this kind of production than Keem does.
Yeah, or even Kevin Abstract, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've sensed a bit more Kevin Abstract on this song. I think he's just like, I'm not very convinced by Baby Keem as a singer. I don't think he's particularly good, and I think that um his vocal style is like this is not a shot at him at all. It's just like he sounds like a child. Like it sounds childish, right? So I mean, Dramatic Girl, I think that it's innocent in a way that kind of helps the childishness, but I'm like it's not like the song doesn't actually like sound good though. Like ultimately, and I say this, I feel like I say this every episode. Ultimately, it needs to sound good because it's a song, right? So I think that's my biggest issue. I think that Che, uh, brilliant work. Did
Hmm.
brilliant, brilliant. I think he's probably the best feature on the project. Yeah, I said it out loud. in front of everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he might be the best feature. I think he's just like doing it was brilliant work. I think that kind of low key carrying the song.
High key carrying the song. Yeah, like that's what made me think of those two other voices. Was I was like, Jay's part I like.
Yeah.
It's Keem's part that I have a problem with. Before we get to lyrics, two more things for production.
Okay.
Excuse me. One, sex appeal.
Trash. Get it out of here.
I
Get it
actually
away from me.
disagree. I
Get
have to
it away.
disagree. This is the song that every time I hear the album, it grows on me. Every time I hear it again, I'm like, what? Is this song good? The
I think
first
it
time I heard
sounds.
it,
Yeah, go ahead.
first time I heard it, I was like, I don't know.
Yep.
But every time I hear it, I'm like, do we have something here?
Oh
But
no.
here's my thing.
Okay.
And this is why I think it's so interesting, and I would love to hear Keem talk more about this. And I want us to talk to Keem about this. Like I would love to hear from him himself. But it is all these older sounds and audio motifs that he was not around for in the same way.
Uh-huh.
Like Sex Appeal feels like a pop song from 2009. Like,
Yeah.
so he has all these sounds, and I'm like, you were not there for this. This is not really your era. So it's very interesting that he does these things, and makes it tense. And I think he does a good job because again, Sex Appeal doesn't really fit in 2026, I don't think.
No.
But I like when artists do that. I think that trying to fit into the present time of music can almost hinder a project. I think we're at a place now where again, you have all of music at your fingertips. I think for a lot of people who are younger, like you almost only know internet music. You didn't live with CDs or vinyls in the same way. But that is a new thing where if I had Blueprint in my CD player, I'll listen to Blueprint for the next month. That's really what it was.
Okay.
Now on Spotify, I can listen to Lemonade on Monday and something else on Tuesday. Like that's just what I have the option to do. So making timeless music matters more in that sense. And then the
Yeah.
last song,
Hold
this is
on.
the
I want to
outro.
talk about hold on a second. I want to talk about sex
Sex
appeal.
appeal.
First
Oh,
of
give it
all,
some love, please.
I think the first time I hear it, like every time at the beginning, I'm like, oh, okay, this is pretty sick. And then by the end of it, I'm just like, okay, I had enough, I think. I think it's like too long. Also, the hook is like not very attractive. Even though it says I have too much sex appeal. I think that, do you think that Right Said Fred is get catching a bag from this for I'm too sexy for my shirt?
Yes.
Like this, it feels a little like the interpolation. It feels like a little bit of an interpolation. Maybe it's just enough different that they didn't have to include him, but it feels like it. I'm too sexy a little bit, and I don't know.
Listen, I would assume so. I'm looking at the credits right now. I see Bill Withers in the credits.
Right.
If Bill Withers is in here, then Right Said Fred should be in here too.
Yeah, so that's my issue. I'm just like I listened to that song at the top. I'm like, okay, yeah, this has got some stuff going on, and then by the end of it, I'm like, okay, I'm over it. Like, maybe I'm just my brain is fried. I'm like a 3 minute long song is a little bit too long, but I'm just like
Yeah, it's one
it's
of
a
the
little
shortest
bit.
songs on the album. That's the crazy part. It's like you don't like the song. Let's call a spade a spade. You don't like the song because it's one of the shortest songs on the album. So
Yeah,
hearing
maybe.
that for 3 minutes is what bothers you.
Yeah,
Because
it's just kind of annoying. And I don't think the hook is very good, and the production it gets old very quickly. But at the beginning, I like it a lot. But by the time I'm getting to the end of it, I want it done. Also, I'm not a Too Short fan. Well, I do like Too Short, not on this song.
oh, okay,
I
clean it up, clean
like
it
I
up.
like Too
Let's
Short.
let's land it. Let's land it. Yeah, that one I wouldn't say is winning any art prizes, but I think there's something there. I understand
Okay,
why it's on this project. I want to talk about the outro. No
okay,
blame. We're back with the keys and the chords driving this song. I like it. There's like a little some darker synths in this song that give it kind of a moody feel, which I like. This feels like a song that I would have learned on the keys in high school. Like this, I would have known how to play this and impress everyone. Like, ooh, I could play No Blame. This would have been my version of that. But I wanted to transition that into the lyrics because
okay.
there are a couple themes on this project lyrically that I wanted to mention before I even get into the actual lyrics. Okay, one is money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, money talk is happening now. Again, he had a platinum record on his first, not his first mixtape, his first big mixtape, 2019. Um, and there's a couple lines he talks about $5 million condo, talks about having $25 million. He says he had a mill at 19.
Mm-hmm.
So money all over this, and then a lot of talking about his mother.
Yep.
His mother is all over this project. I'm gonna highlight some lyrics about his mother, because No Blame is really just like a letter to his mother. But his mother and money. Okay, that's our takeaways from this project. Loves his mother, making a lot of money. Even
Yep.
on Casino, he says, "Hey, mama, they shit the bed." So
Mhm.
talking to his mom throughout the project. On verse one of No Blame, about halfway through, he says, "I can never shame you, mama. Always felt the same about you. We come from restraining orders. Why is he putting hands on you? I just want to play with toys. You and grandma fighting for me. CPS is at the door. I still don't blame you, mama. Smoking cigarettes in that house made it haunted. Skeleton in the closet. Spent my birthday running from it. How you pregnant with a Xanax in your stomach? I'm wishing change upon us. Broken change and bringing pain. You still gonna break your promise that you made to me in jail before you had McHale last summer. I was still a baby, mama. My daddy disappeared. How you neglect your baby mama? This is a kind of honesty and imagery that we want from Baby Keem. I think if you think about his first project, Die for My Bitch, you don't see No Blame coming. There's no way you could have forecasted this is where this guy is headed. So I want to give him his credit for the growth, because this is a growth sonically, growth lyrically, and then even his rapping ability. Now, I don't love his voice personally, and that's just, taste in terms of hip hop. Everyone has voices they love or like more. Some people don't like Jadakiss's voice, don't like Young Jeezy's voice. That's part of hip hop. But I think the ability to pull a song like this off is
Mhm.
something that he's able to do well. And I don't know that many of his peers have made songs like this. That's why I brought
Yeah.
up his peers earlier. Is like a lot of his peers don't have this in their wheelhouse. And I think he has emotional maturity to his records that, again, different from Family Ties, different from Orange Soda, but I think that's kind of his calling card going forward. Now I think he has to refine that a little bit and kind of get better at polishing those sounds. But a song like No Blame is like we're almost accustomed to this now from him. Like a song like this is not like, look how deep like, that's not the tone around this song, even a lot of this project. Like there is some of that, but again, on the Melodic Blue, even though it's 5 years ago, he kind of proved to us he can talk about things. He can be open. He can be transparent in his music. So when I see a song like No Blame, this I showed a little part of the record. The whole record is like this about him not blaming his mama, going through what they've been through together. Starts with I could never shame you, mama. I always felt the same about you. So you talk about him copying Kanye on the last project, copying Andre on here. I think that older era of music has a clear influence on him. And again, maybe it's his older cousin Kendrick, who's much older than him, and I don't know where that influence came from, but a song like this is like, Kanye's Hey Mama. This is a version of that song. We talked about when Corday had his song about his mama as well. Like, this is a kind of song that it takes some tact to create. And, I got to give Keem his credit because he really did his thing with this one.
Yeah, I think that he is good when it comes to themes in his songs. This is something that we talked about previous artists before where we're just like, sounds cool, but what is it actually about? And it doesn't have to be super deep, but I think Baby Keem is one of those artists who is unafraid to delve deep. He's going in deep, and where he'll talk about things, I think that most other artists would not. For example, this is on I'm Not a Lyricist, even though that is the most lyrical endowed song on this entire project, where he says, Mama called me bipolar, Grandma called me boo man, drugs in my baby stroller, needles in the playground sand, my auntie making love to the ice cream man, a child with wolves every day I am. That slot machine that nobody help, niggas gamble with their life, scared to bet on themselves. My grandma gave me a keyboard when I was 12. Connie got me out the group home when I was 6. Too many alcoholics around. Grandma went to jail. I was sure I wouldn't be found. Should have stayed with Jarrell. This is for the foster children, for the runaways, for the underground and the underpaid. I don't think he really knows what that means because he was talking about having $1,019. So we'll continue. Living in the projects, made the digest, and the neighbors that played victim and carried on my stress. They don't call it Sin City for nothing. So and it goes further, like he's talking about suicide and stuff like that, 500 escorts and such. So he's an artist who I like in this framing where, or like I like in this way because nobody's really going that deep, or very few people, very few artists are going deep with talking about, the the faults in not even themselves, but like the faults they perceive in the people around them, the people that they grew up with, and even analogizing stuff like Sin City. I think that's pretty cool. I think he's really good at doing things like that, and I think Die for My Bitch was another album where, and The Melodic Blue, where it's just like delving into the emotionality. Very good at that. I will give it to him. He is good at that. So I think that the lyrics on this album are solid. Solid in a lot of ways. I didn't say anything about No Security, but No Security is another good lyrical song as well, and that's the intro. So, I'm up on him lyrically. Believe it or not, I am in lyrically for Baby Keem.
Didn't see that coming either. Like I thought he was underrated as a lyricist in the
Yeah,
Die for My Bitch era. I thought, the sound has people thinking a certain way, but he actually can rap. Now I don't know where he stands in terms of underrated or overrated in that sense. Like I don't know how people are viewing him as a lyricist.
me neither.
But I what I do think is that he's not lyrical, miracle, spiritual.
No.
That's not really his vibe. But I do think what he does have is depth.
Yes.
Like he's not gonna use these words he's never heard before. Like that's not really his bag. Again, he is a younger artist,
Hmm.
but he will have deep lyrics. They will seem honest. They will seem transparent. They will seem autobiographical. So to me, that does mean something when you talk about his actual lyrical prowess. What this means for his career, I think this is a plus.
Yeah, me too.
I think people say this is an album of the year for them. Like again, I do not agree, but I think again, Keem is one of those artists who most of his fans are just hip hop fans. I think his work with Kendrick has kind of taken him a little bit outside because I do know some people who are not hip hop fans who do know Keem, and I think without Kendrick that wouldn't be the case. But again, I think we've had a strong year of hip hop projects, even just from this podcast. ASAP Rocky, Don Toliver, J. Cole.
Hmm.
And now I don't think this album's better than any of those albums,
Hmm.
but for people to be thinking that, it's a win for his career for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Also, he's back after 5 years and didn't fall off. 0% fall off. It seems like he's more on than ever, which is surprising. Um, but again, even when he came out, people were higher on Baby Keem than I was. I think I'm like historically low. I'm like maybe an outlier in how low on Baby Keem I am, compared to the general consensus. But so this, generating as much fanfare as it did, or it does, sorry, and as his ability to come back and have it to not affect his career whatsoever, you have to say that this is a huge plus. So I think that it's a plus. How do you feel about the cover? Or do you want to talk about the cover, or do you want to talk about no skips? Do you think it's a no skips?
No, I don't think it's enough
Okay.
skips.
What about the cover though?
I like the cover. The big parental advisory I think is interesting because this is not an album that I feel is necessary for that.
Hmm.
Like it's obviously like an artistic choice, but I just don't think it matches the actual music on this
Hmm.
project, so that doesn't really align to me. I like the baby picture, of all the baby pictures that are there, like not really centered, not really properly framed.
Hmm.
Baby picture plus parental advisory, like I like the contrast there.
Me too.
Um, the one thing I want to touch on something you said before I hear from you about the album cover, but you said of how everyone else is high on him. Baby Keem's one of those artists who it feels like he's bigger than he actually is. And I want to try and kind of have some kind of correction about that going through this year because I saw Charlemagne say this on a podcast of when you see podcast clips posted often on social media, you assume that podcast is successful, but you've never actually watched that podcast yourself.
Hmm.
But the clips keep showing up. Okay, it must be doing well. Baby Keem is like that for music, where you see him posted enough, people love him enough that it seems like okay, he's killing it. And I think the numbers would tell you he's like you said, B tier, maybe even C tier in terms of commercial hip hop. And I think like he's where you want to be as an artist, where the people who love you so loudly that it feels like you're bigger than you are. Because what I think about Baby Keem is that the people who know him and love him, people like us who are like, he's cool, we'll listen.
Yep.
And there's a bunch of people who don't want to listen at all.
Right.
They ain't heard a song, they ain't heard an album. They're just like, I don't really care. So I would love us to try and have some kind of, just groundedness in that because, again, for his highest place to be number four, online would have you believe he's never not gone number one.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think this year we can try and measure that of like how big is somebody for real, or is it just all the blogs that we follow
Hmm.
always post him?
Yeah, I think that we'll see because I'm gonna assume that he's gonna do some sort of tour. And we'll see the venues that he plays. And we'll also see who is also on the tour with him because that is also another indicator of like how large you are because you have to usually people peg somebody who is, not as popular as them. So we'll be able to see, okay, like who do you actually pick? Because like somebody like, for example, Tyler the Creator picked Kali Uchis. Kali Uchis still huge, like
Hmm.
Tyler
Hmm.
the Creator is huge, but he can pick somebody like Kali Uchis and it's still like, you can still tell there's like a stratosphere difference.
Keem needs a joint tour. The way that Wale and Smino are doing a joint tour,
Hmm.
Keem needs a joint tour. I think he needs something like that.
Okay. Okay. Him and Too Short? I'm just
Keem
kidding.
opens.
I
Keem
know
opens.
I would be dying laughing if that happened. Yeah, I think the album cover is cool. There is obviously a vulnerability in putting a child photo out to the masses. The parental advisory. Obviously, we're talking about the lyrics and him talking about being young, seeing, very what's the best way to describe that? Very explicit things, or at least being knowledgeable of those things. So the parental advisory, explicit content right on like the kid's chest, kind of already signals that. Does it? But you know what? Like when you actually listen to the music, it's not super sweary. You know,
No.
not a lot of swearing, or I didn't sense it. Maybe if we do like some sort of data analysis on it, then there might be, but it felt like there wasn't that much swearing on it at all. So for
Well,
him to go
even
ahead.
the themes. Forget about the actual swearing. Like these are not explicit themes. Like he's talking a lot about like money and his mother.
Yeah.
So it's not like the themes itself are like raunchy or violent. Like that's not
Hmm.
what this album really is.
Yeah, I agree. So it's interesting, but I like the cover mostly.
Yes.
Um, okay, we talked about no skips. Is it a vinyl cop? No, no vinyl cop for you.
No, sir. No, not for me. Now your body, your choice. But for me, it's not a vinyl cop. What about you?
Yeah, me neither. And it's not a no skips for me either. Plenty of skips. Highway 95 we'd even talk about.
Plenty of skips is crazy, and it's 11 songs.
Yeah.
Like,
Highway 95 is getting skipped. I'm sorry. Respectfully.
mm,
Okay.
so we're
So,
here with the score now.
yeah, the moment they've all been waiting for, every single person listening to this podcast is wondering, what are they going to say about Baby Keem? What are they rating it? Adriel, what is your score for Baby Keem's Casino?
So I'm gonna do some quick math here with everyone on
Okay.
the podcast and join me because this album feels like one that deserves some math. Okay, so I looked at how much songs I had saved out of the album. I divided that by how much songs there are, and what do
Hmm.
we get here? What did I say,
Oof.
Demar?
That's a 45.45.
So
45.45.
so we're gonna
Round
round up
up.
to a five. This is a five.
Okay.
For me, this album I tried to listen and hear what everyone was thinking because
Hmm.
I saw a lot of tweets, a lot of posts, a lot of shares saying this is my album of the year so far. And it kind of feels to me very similar to like the Kendrick Grammy Darling type of
Okay.
thing, where it's like one person says it, okay, we all want to believe it. It's just like your niche choice, you're smart for thinking this. He's not as big or mainstream as ASAP, Don Toliver, or J. Cole, like he's still cool, he's not boring. Like, they feel like the right cool choice.
Right.
But I did not see where this is, rap album of the year so far. To me, this album is just okay. Um, I don't have any songs that I'm like running back to. Like again, I like some of the songs that they're cool, but I'm not like I gotta hear this. It's gotta go on this
Yeah,
playlist. The production I like a lot, even though I do think there's moments where you're like, this is not what Keem should be doing.
right.
You know, I feel like Dramatic Girl is one of those where I'm like, I like that you took this attempt and this production itself is good, but maybe not for your album. Maybe it's production for someone else's project. So for me, it's a five. Like this is an average album to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a five as well. It's okay. I think that I would say that his songwriting is pretty good.
Hmm.
But his rapping is nothing special. Like, there's nothing of note to say about his rapping, like good or bad. There's just like it's just nothing to say.
Hmm.
It's not particularly interesting or engaging. I think his hooks for a bunch of the songs are not very good. But then the production on a bunch of the songs, I feel like saving some of the songs, Circus Freestyle is one of them. Um, I'm not a lyricist. I like a lot. There's tracks, but that's kind of it. You know what I mean? Like, come in there, I'm like, yeah, there's some songs,
Hmm.
and that's kind of the end of the story. So that to me is like it's regular. So it's a five for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, this one I think is disappointing because we also didn't love Melodic Blue.
I know, which everybody
Um,
else loved as well. So we are Debbie Downers in the club, yo.
yeah, we're the biggest haters, I guess. I don't know. To me, I think that there is a disconnect between how he's perceived and how good the music is. And I think like we've really highlighted that here with again you saying before of it feels like he's so loved and we're the ones who are wrong. And I'm like, I don't think we're the ones who are wrong. I think like he's mostly either not known or people just don't care.
Mm.
But the people who do care speak so loudly that you're like, is it okay if I don't like this? Is it okay if I don't think it's the best thing ever? Which again is a great spot to be as an artist, especially where he's coming from. I want to know what the fans think.
Me
Baby
too.
Keem fans, PG Lang, stand up, please. Get in the comments, okay? Make sure you like this video, hit that subscribe button, and leave us a comment, okay? Did we give it too high of a score? That would be crazy for you to say. Did we give too low of a score? Where does this rank of his last three projects? That's what I want to know. To me, I have this the lowest of the last three.
Yeah, me too.
But tell me what you guys think. Where do you rank this out of all of his three or last three projects? Make sure you find us on Spotify, Album Mode on Spotify, all your podcast platforms. You can leave us a rating and a review. 5 stars, not a single star less. Make sure you find us on all the interwebs. Okay, X, Album Mode Pod on Instagram, Album Mode Pod on TikTok at Album Mode Pod. And until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later days.